I'm back. I'm biased, I'm bothered, and I am always unfiltered. If you are easily offended, this is not the place for you. But you still haven't managed to worthy up. Not to worry, let's get into this mess. We are back with special forces. Oh man, I loved to see this because we're opening up with Cody Brown saying good morning to everybody. I know that this guy is getting on everybody's nerves, and I did actually enjoy it. I just love to see it. Do you know what else I loved to see? But in a weird way, it's Cody's hair. What the hell is going on here? I think he went for a bit of a Mohican, like before he went in here, he was going for a mohawk. I think I've no other explanation as for what's going on. Anyway, everybody is outside because we're going to find out our mission. So today we're going to work on our mindset. Now, Rudy is letting us know it's not the muscle on your body that matters, it's what's between your ears. Now, I thought he was going to go somewhere else with that, okay? But I was thinking about what he said. Like, obviously, the muscle on your body does matter, though. Like, when you think about it realistically, like, Stephen Hawkins is a genius, right? But, like, so he has loads in between his ears, but he'd be crap in special forces. Like, he really would. You have to be honest, you do actually have to be honest with people. Anyway, we're being told that we have to keep our composure and get ready, but we're being screamed at. I am never composed if people are screaming, never. Now, Foxy is letting us know that they are going to induce panic and fear, but everybody has to remain calm or they won't be there any longer. I thought, all right then, Foxy. So anyway, we're on our way to the mission where we have to keep calm, right? Now I'm looking at Cody. The man looks like a Ginny Joe. Look at his hair. Feckin' hell. Morocco is not doing him any favours. So he's talking to a guy named Andrew, right? Now this guy is married to a woman named Sean. She's an Olympian, by the way, right? And he is a former NFL player. So Cody is asking him about being a long snapper. I've no idea what that is. Something got to do with football, right? Now, according to Cody, Andrew like wasn't getting tons of glory. I thought, Cody, you're such a prick, like you really are. Anyway, Andrew tells us that he was a linebacker and he was some kind of a snapper or whatever the hell that is. That means something entirely different over here. But anyway, then like his career was kind of over. But he married somebody. Now his wife is the limelight in their family, okay? Because like she's an Olympian, of course she is. And Cody is telling him that he can just like do the dishes because Cody is a red pill chauvinistic pig. But Andrew reckons that his wife is brilliant, and she is, right? She is. Cody could never. That man, can you imagine it? Like, can you imagine if Robin was good at something? Well, I know she is, but well, according to him. But can you imagine if she was good at something like, a sport or something like that? Cody wouldn't be able to deal with anything like that. I Do you reckon she ever played a sport or like she was ever into swimming or anything? Do you reckon the woman ever did anything? I just don't see it. Anyway, we're finding out about our mission, and apparently, okay, it's at a classified location. But it's not really a classified location because they tell us like it's one of the biggest dams in the world. We know they're in Morocco, so a quick Google I can let you know exactly where this place is. Anyway, the celebrities turn around and they see the dam. Now Andrew says that his knees like they're about to tremble, and his wife is saying, "Get it together, love, get it together." So we're going to see Rudy abseiling from the dam. Now the dam is 300 foot, right? So it's going to be a 300 foot drop. I have to say this guy is very impressive. Now Nick, of course, is blown away by Rudy's ability to do this because we know, of course, from last week that the chap is fucking terrified of heights. So what's going to happen is we're going to be given a set of coordinates. We're going to rappel down, and then we have to repeat the coordinates. Oh, but Nick is up first, right? Anyway, so he's on top of the dam. Now, before he does anything, he's saying, "Oh my lord," like he's just panicking. And Foxy is telling him, "Have a look around because he may not see it again." I thought, Foxy, give the chap a break. Like for us, this is week 4, okay? But for him, it's only the next day after he's after being on the ladder. This poor guy. Anyway, he's trying to abseil, but he's already fallen, right? Do you know, they're not giving them an awful lot of time to figure out what they're supposed to do or like how they're even supposed to move their body. They're just being shouted at. Anyway, he eventually just goes for it and he blams himself into the side of the dam. I thought, feckin' hell, poor Nick. So now he's being shouted at, like from the top and the bottom, because Q was at the bottom, right, waiting for them to give the coordinates. So anyway, he finally gets down, but he doesn't remember the coordinates, okay? So he fails, but you know what? I'm going to give it to him because I know that he was terrified. So anyway, now we're hearing from this guy named Ravi. So this is the guy, if you remember, he was pretending he didn't know who Jussie was, right? That's him. So Ravi is telling us that the DS people, like, they don't really like anybody that's sarcastic. I thought, all right, then I can safely assume that they would feckin' hate me. Anyway, Ravi does a great job, okay? Now, I think he did a great job because he's only tiny, right? He's only a little fella. So I think that's why, like, he was able to do a great job. Now, he also remembers his coordinates, so he passed, right? He passed the whole thing. And apparently, Cody is very impressed with Ravi's farm. I thought, I bet you are getting a load of his farm, all right. Anyway, so we see the others, right? Now, they're all being shouted at and still being told, like, to stop panicking. And Johnny is up next. Now, we know this guy is terrified of heights, but he does do very well. Then Brianna does very well. She also remembers all of the coordinates. I thought, go, Brianna, go. Now, I think Cody does very well, okay? But we don't really see it. We see him coming down and he's very excited about it and he asks, can he do it again, right? But we don't see him being asked for the coordinates, right? So bear that in mind. Now, Andrew's wife, Sean, she does very well. She passes, right? And then Andrew was last. And Foxy is kind of calling this guy a bit of a pussy, right? Because he say, like, you just kind of, follow your wife around. I hate this kind of shit. I absolutely hate it. Because if it was the other way around, right? And if Andrew was like the Olympian in their family, they would never say any of that shit to his wife. I don't like any of this, right? But anyway, after saying all that, okay, he doesn't remember the coordinates, so he actually fails. Then I find out, right, that Cody also failed. Now, he must have forgotten the coordinates because Rudy is telling us, like, he's reading out the numbers of people who failed, and apparently one third of them, right? And I know he's number 4, so I know he failed. So apparently, because a third of them failed, that means that loads of people are gonna die. I thought, calm down, Rudy, calm down. Now, although Ravi passed, right, he is being given out to because he's a bit mouthy, right? That's what they're saying. Anyway, we're on our way home and we're in the base. Now, the special forces people are talking about this guy, Ravi. Now, they don't really like him because he's just a bit too happy. So now he's going to be called in for the talk. And of course, he gets this feckin' hood, like, put on his head. Anyway, they're asking him, like, why do you talk so much? And I was thinking, probably because he's bored, like, out of his nut, That's probably why he's talking. Anyway, all of this tomfoolery is just making him fail the course. And he says, look, I'm not being disrespectful, right? And I'm giving my all in the missions. So we're finding out a bit more about Ravi. Now, Ravi is married and he has, at the time, okay, he had a 6-year-old daughter when his wife had another baby, right? So him and his wife had a little baby girl and her name was Sashi. Oh my goodness, but the baby did pass away when she was only 5 days old, which is feckin' heartbreaking, right? It really is. But it does sound like this baby was on life support machine because Rabbi said like the whole family had to make a decision, which is just absolutely devastating. Like it really would be just devastating for your family. Now Ravi is saying like he just wants to make the best out of an awful situation. And Foxy thinks that the longer he stays in the special forces, the more he's going to get out of it. I don't know where they got like their psychology degree or whatever, but I just want to believe that to be true, right? I just want to believe it. Anyway, Robbie is now like he's getting the hood. He's just had like this devastating conversation, right? Telling us about his family life. Now he's just getting this feckin' hood put back on his head and he's being sent home like into the base. So Ravi is telling the others like how his talk went. And now we're off for our next mission. Now, apparently, okay, we are about to face a real life combat mission. It's quite literally not real life because this is all on the set. But anyway, Q was telling us, right, about this covert mission where they have to get in, kill, and get back out. I thought that's grand, Q, but this is just like special forces on the telly. Calm down a little bit. But I'm looking around this place. It kind of looks like a jungle, right? So the mission that we have to do is to navigate through these tunnels and get to a signal tower. Now there's going to be 4 teams, and Cody is the leader in his team, but the leader does get to have a grenade. I want to be the leader on my team. Anyway, so Johnny and Gia, right? They're all on those two are on the same team, right? Now just bombs going off, and these two have to get into a tunnel, and we find out, okay, that's going to be a half a mile long. Now the tunnel goes underground, but then like Johnny is flying through this, right? But Gia is panicking, okay? I would not be able to do this. I wouldn't. Oh, I wouldn't be able for this. Now, Gia is telling Foxy or Billy, who I can't remember this people's names, right? But she's telling Foxy Billy, right, that she can't do this because she is going to have a panic attack. And he's just telling her, like, to get into the tunnel. Now, she's saying that she wants to take her helmet off because she can't breathe. And she's just being told that she can breathe because she's talking. Fucking hell. Do you know what? I had to have a scan, right? I don't know whether it's called a CT or an MRI. It's the one where you go into like the whole thing. It's just like a circular coffin. I had to be heavily sedated for that. I couldn't do it. Like I couldn't. But she gets into this tunnel. I thought, jeepers, fair play to her. This is a very tight space. I was panicking looking at this. Anyway, the tunnel is already tight, right? But it's about to get narrower. And like they're crawling, but they're crawling on their forearms because they've no room, right? They're just trying to drag themselves through because like they can't even outstretch their arms. Now Johnny gets out, right? He did a great job. But look at the size of the feckin' hole that he's after climbing through. How the hell did any of them do this? I've no idea. But anyway, now he has to get into another tunnel. But at the end of this tunnel, it's confined, right? It's a water pit. Now, it's not actually that confined, okay? Because there's just a cage at the top of it. But they had to drag themselves through, right? So now he's in another feckin' tunnel and he's being shouted at. I thought that's not good. Like you're not helping him in this like stressful situation. But in the last tunnel, it's actually a dead end. So they're just like, psych, Johnny, gotcha, you know? Anyway, Johnny realizes that he can't get through, and this man is starting to panic because he is actually stuck underground. I don't blame him. Now, Foxy Billy, or however, right? They're just screaming at Johnny like to go backwards. Now, Johnny, I can tell this guy's about to lose his shit. But Johnny does eventually find a little space that he can just pop his head up, right? And he says, I'm out, I'm out. Now Q was saying, no, you're not. Get back in, right? So he's about to get back in and continue. But Foxy Billy stops him and says, think about it. What do you want to do, Johnny? And Johnny says, I'm out. But you know what? I thought that that was very unfair because he was just about to go and do it. I think he just got really frustrated, you know, I do. And I believe that they wanted to get rid of Johnny. They have to, like, they have to start, like, you know, being mean to people and getting them to go. Anyway, because Johnny is after leaving, right? His whole team have, like, they've just failed. And poor Johnny, like, he didn't even get to throw the grenade, you know? So we're seeing the rest of the teams. Now, poor Brianna is just manhandled and she's shoved into this tunnel. And of course, Nick is panicking. But remember, the chap is about 7 foot tall, right? So he has loads of body to get through, like, these tiny spaces. So we're getting a kind of a voiceover from Rudy. Now, Rudy is telling us that we must push past the fear to get the job done. I thought that's grand, Rudy, but like somebody might have a fucking heart attack, you know. Anyway, Nick is doing well, right? And he's helping Sean like to get out of the tunnel. And I think he may have also helped pull Cody out of a tunnel. I can't tell because we're just seeing very short clips. But now we see Andrew. Now Andrew is getting a grenade and he's the team leader. I will say he's doing very well, right? Now he's helping everybody on his team and he's encouraging them. He's very good. But when he realizes that the final tunnel is a dead end, the guy is grand, right? He doesn't panic or anything. He just tells them to go back. So now they've reached like the signal tower and Andrew gets to throw the grenade. I thought he deserved to throw that. He did. I want one of them. But do you know what? If anybody deserved it, this guy did. Anyway, the DS people think that Andrew did great, but apparently, like, he just wasn't fucking happy enough. I thought, what do you guys want? Like, you've been given out to Ravi for being too happy, and now you're giving out because this chap, like, apparently is not happy enough. Anyway, We're finding out that out of three out of the four teams passed. So we know Cody definitely did because it was Johnny who lost, right? Bye, Johnny. I hope to see you on something else. I enjoyed you. Anyway, do you know what? I want to see more of Cody like doing the trials. That's why I want to get this guy on Celebrity. Get me out of here. Oh, I'd fucking love to see that because you know he's going to get desperate to pay that mortgage pretty soon. Anyway, we're finished like the day's mission and we're on our way home. And these people are in the base. Now they're outside, like washing their clothes. It just looked so random to me. Now we're hearing from the DS Special Forces people. Do you know what I was thinking? What the hell does the DS stand for? I don't know anything about that. I just don't know anything about the military. But I was wondering why do they call them staff? Why not just say yes or sergeant or something like that? Anyway, these people are now interested in Andrew, right? Because Andrew had a fail and he had a pass. Now, these people reckon, okay, that he could have been crushed because his wife won the mission that he failed. I thought, for God's sake. Anyway, the special forces people think that Andrew is interesting because it's his wife. Like, she's basically the limelight in their family because these people are chauvinistic pigs, right? Like they wouldn't have said that. They wouldn't have even mentioned that if it had been the other way around. So now Andrew is being called in for his talk, right? And oh my God, I see Cody Brown with the milkers on full display. Why is he sitting there? Like, why is he sitting there with like just topless? I don't know. I don't know. Now, I did ask a couple of the gym bros in my family what they thought of this, right? Oh, anyway, they did point out a couple of things to me. Like, so like the big tits, right? That was a big one for them. Also, apparently he has like a lack of muscle in his arms, and we know he has the skinny little legs, right? Also, you see the way he does have like a six pack, but it's over like a bare belly. Apparently, now I'm just saying, like according to them, that's what a lot of juicers look like. You know, people who are juicing. This kind of look here is kind of what they look like. So I just want to believe that to be true, cause those kind of things, you know, it just puts a smile on my face to believe what I can about him. But I was actually wondering why he was walking around half naked in front of these people with the boobies out. Because you know when he is with Robin, right? He'll only be like standing beside a person for the picture. Like he won't touch off a person because he says like he's a married man. I was wondering why is he taking the top off? Is he trying to impress Brianna? Oh God, I hope so. Anyway, the special forces people, okay, they're concerned with Andrew's mental attitude and they're putting a feckin' hood like over this guy's head. I was wondering, does each person get their own hood? Because it's very hot there. Like I hope they wash this out. Like it'd be feckin' stinking, you know? So anyway, they're talking to Andrew about the day's events. Now, Andrew, like he's a bit pissed off because he didn't remember the coordinates and that meant like you know that basically he lost, but he was happy that his team won. So they're telling Andrew, like, you should take credit for the team winning. But I was thinking Andrew was probably terrified because he doesn't know, like, he doesn't know, like, what he's supposed to do because you're shouting at them for one thing, and then if they do the opposite, you're shouting at them for that also, you know? Anyway, we're finding out a bit more about Andrew, right? So he used to play in the NFL and he was some kind of a snapper, right? But he was doing very well. But then he started doing things that he never did before. I didn't know what he was talking about. Was he talking about doing the drugs or something? No idea. Anyway, basically his NFL career like is over. Now Foxy Billy reckons that Andrew like he just overthinks everything. And I thought, oh, all right then. So, because they're saying to him, like, just stop doing that. I thought that's not how the brain works, Foxy Billy. But you know what? I do actually like this guy. He's got to be grand, right? I think he'd make a fantastic coach at something. I really do, because he seems like that kind of a person. So now he's getting the hood like put back over his head. So Andrew is back, right? And he's telling everybody how he got on with his talk. But I'm looking at Cody Brown
And I'm looking at the bed. He has a whole load of pillows. How come he has 3 pillows? And then I was thinking about that sellotape on his mouth. Does he have to sleep apnea or something? Is that why he has the 3 pillows that he has to sit, like he has to sit sleep kind of thing? Anyway, Andrew was telling the rest of the people, right, what the special forces people said. Now the team did like very well today. That's what they told him, and they told him like that he overthinks things basically. Now, because he just wasn't happy enough when the team won. And even Ravi is wondering, like, why that's the feedback Andrew got. Like, that's all they had to say to him, you know? And we're getting just more shots of, like, a topless Cody. Now, I'm grateful for it. I am. I know some people are turned off by that. I'm not saying I'm not turned off for it. I'm not saying that at all. But I feckin' love to see it, you know? The more of Cody I can get, the happier I am, basically. Anyway, this couple, Sean and Andrew, they're just having a little cuddle. They seem like a nice couple. I like them. And then we say, right, that there's some kind of punishment being given out like next week. And G is calling somebody stupid. I hope it's Cody. I really do. Oh, I'd love a bit of a back and forth between those. Anyway, that is our recap. I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you did, go ahead and hit subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Have a great day.